Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Let's talk about why you must have options in the job market. So guys, listen, having multiple options when it comes to your pay and your income is absolutely crucial, right? Because here's the thing. When you have one job, when you have one source of income, you are naturally in a state of I wouldn't even say scarcity, but you're naturally in a state of damn, I really don't have anything else outside of this one thing. And if I don't do what they say, I'm gonna get canned. Or maybe you don't agree with something that happened, or you feel like you got effed over, right? Or you feel like you're being mistreated. If you don't have anything else lined up, right? Whether that's you're sending applications in and you're getting calls, or you're doing interviews, or let's say you do have your main job and you have a second job, you're not going to be in you're not going to easily be fed a bunch of lies, or you're not going to accept being mistreated, because it's like, hey man, if I don't feel like I'm getting treated right, or I don't feel like I'm getting what I want, and I feel like I'm being unfairly assessed, meaning like my work is not being appreciated, or there's just too much drama, there's too much things going on that aren't conducive to my growth in this company, then you will naturally be like, no, I'm not going to accept whatever comes from this, right? So, let's say you ask to switch, maybe you want to switch to a different location, or you want a promotion, you want a raise. I talk about this a lot, guys, but it's important to understand. If you don't get it, right, and you have just that one job, right? If you don't get the raise, you don't get the promotion, you just have one job, you're in a state where you have no other choice but to just continue to work under them, because it's like, hey, I don't have another source of income. And that's why, I'm not really going to talk about it too much here, but I talked about it in one of my previous videos about having 6 to 12 months of living expenses, because, hey man, if you want to leave, right, at least you have some breathing room now to where you don't necessarily have to jump right into something else immediately. You can take your time, right, to apply. And then next thing you know, you're in a position where you're not necessarily forced to stay because of whatever nonsense you had to deal with. So I think it's very critical that you have other things lined up. And it doesn't necessarily have to be another job necessarily. It can be, hey, I have my own side hustle that I'm doing, right? Where if my main job acts funny or acts stupid or doesn't appreciate my value that I contribute, my side hustle can hold me over till I find another job, or whatever. Or maybe you are at a point where your side hustle makes a decent amount, you have some savings, your boss acts weird, or the people you work with are acting weird, and you don't necessarily even have to apply to another job, because, hey, I'm already making enough money from my side hustle, right? And I have my 6 to 12 months of living expenses. So, hey, I have everything lined up to where I'm not necessarily forced to stay in this company and deal with this nonsense. So I'm not saying that you're going to be free from nonsense. There's going to be shit in every location, right? But at the same time, you can't continue to stay somewhere where your growth is stifled. And not even just your growth from a financial perspective, but you can't stay somewhere, guys. You can't stay somewhere where you're losing your mental health and your focus, right? Like a lot of jobs, 24/7 locations, or like a lot of people I know there's a lot of people right now that are on YouTube talking about like warehouse jobs. I didn't know how poorly warehouse workers were treated until I started watching people's testimonies. There is a lot of nonsense in 24/7 locations, whether that's restaurants, whether that's gas stations, whether that's whatever, right? Because 24/7, right? For example, there's times where my boss, right now, he's salary, so it's understandable, but he gets phone calls he'll get people calling him from overnight, asking him stupid questions at 10, 11 o'clock at night. And it's then he has to be there at 5:30, 6 o'clock. So it's think about it, right? Let's say you go to sleep at 9, right? and you're like, okay, I'm gonna get my full 7 or 8 hours of sleep, and then I get woken up at 11 or 12 because my people are calling me for some stupid thing, I just lost like my sleep, my deep sleep. So now I'm gonna feel tired the next day. And it's like, dude, imagine if that's happened once, if that's happening on a consistent basis, right? And it will happen. That's the thing, it will happen. So you will deal with that. It might not be every day or, you know, all the time, but it's like the fact that you even have to deal with that and have to sacrifice your sleep for something stupid like that is not conducive, right? So I'm not saying that, you know, you can't just suck it up and do what you have to do. Obviously, that is the case for a lot of people. But always have other things lined up, right? So maybe if you have a main job, maybe you work a side job, maybe you do security, maybe you wait tables, maybe you drive DoorDash, right? So in the event that you feel like, all right, it's time to go, it's time to drop this main gig, you have you know, it's not like, hey, you're gonna have like the same income because you're doing it part-time, but at least you have some form of peace of mind because it's like, hey, I'm not completely destitute, right? And then also, right, so it's kind of like a two-pronged approach where you want to have a second job or a side hustle lined up, and then also, like I said in my previous video, you want to have those living expenses in check, in place. So at the end of the day, you really can't lose. If you have 6 to 12 months of living expenses, right, and you have a side hustle or you have a second job, right? Those are 3 different things, right? You will not be taking shit from your main gig. I promise you. You will not look at them the same way, and you will have the guts and the ability to say, no, I'm not tolerating this. No, I'm not going to this place. No, I'm not going to accept that, right? Whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Or you'll be able to have a backbone and not be just a yes man. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not a yes man. I know a lot of people say, oh, to move up and to get along, you should do what they say and work hard and go wherever they go, do whatever they want you to do. Does that work for some people? Yes. In my experience, it hasn't. And I'm not here to spill all my beans, but at the same time, you got to really understand that, you know, you can't keep doing. Einstein says this, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So if you do the same things and you're not getting the result you want, you got to do something else. And you know, like I said, I feel like people are in such a precarious situation where they don't have those living expenses lined up, and then they also don't have other jobs lined up, to where they have to accept the BS that comes from having a main gig if it comes up. And personally, like, your job, guys, is where you spend 40 or 50 hours a week. So if it's not a job where it's like, hey, at least your peace of mind is there to some degree. I'm not saying you're always going to be in a state of, you know, feeling like everything's all right, but, you know, if it's like overwhelmingly every single week you're dealing with the same things or nothing is changing, I think having a second job lined up is crucial. So even if you go to your superiors and you ask for something, you ask for a change and they don't do it, then you can just say, hey, I'm walking out because I have my living expenses, I have my second job, or I have my side hustle, and I don't need this, right? And I'm not going to tolerate the BS that is continuing to ensue in this job. So yeah, guys, I think that's very important. It sucks too, because there's a lot of people out there right now that are, you know, they struggle living paycheck to paycheck. They struggle maintaining 2 jobs, or they struggle to even get a second job, whatever, because of maybe they have kids. So if you're a single man and you have all day, right, I think I'm really talking to the men who are single here, who don't have kids, who don't have responsibilities like that. You can absolutely set things up for you to win, right? And that's how you got to move in this world, guys. Like I said, you're not going to hear this advice in school. You're not going to hear this taught in college. You're not going to hear this anywhere but through other people's experiences. So take it with a grain of salt, but also understand that the implications of you just having one source of income are severe if you're not careful and you don't have things set up for you to win. So yeah, guys, that's it. That's all. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. And as always, I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.